Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. I am so glad you found your way here, because tonight we will be drifting together through the quiet wonders of the world we call home. Wherever you happen to be at this moment, let this be your time to slow down. Let the noise soften, let the edges blur, and let your thoughts settle like leaves resting on the surface of still water. Tonight, we are staying grounded here on Earth. Life on this planet is more mysterious, more resilient, and more extraordinary than most of us ever pause to imagine. From glowing oceans to jellyfish that never truly die, from ancient underground forests to microscopic creatures that can endure the void of space, Earth is alive in ways that will surprise you, soothe you, and stir something quiet and deep within you. Some of what you hear tonight may gently change how you see the world. Other discoveries might simply drift past like petals on a soft breeze, curious, gentle, and quietly unforgettable. If this kind of peaceful wonder brings you calm or sparks a little flicker of curiosity in your mind, consider liking and subscribing. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. I am Ray Nova, and this is Cosmic Lullaby, where we drift slowly through the marvels of our living world. But for now, let yourself get comfortable. Take a slow, deep breath, and let us begin this soothing journey through the miracles of life on Earth. There is a jellyfish that can live forever, near the warm coastal waters of the Mediterranean, and drifting through many other oceans around the world, there lives a creature that quietly defies one of nature's most universal laws. Turritopsis dohrnii, often called the immortal jellyfish, holds a truly remarkable ability. When it is injured, aged, or threatened, it can turn its own body backward, returning to an earlier stage of life. Like a butterfly folding itself back into a caterpillar, it returns to its polyp form, the jellyfish equivalent of childhood, and simply begins again. This is not a theory whispered in old textbooks. It has been observed again and again in laboratories around the world. The jellyfish can cycle through its life stages over and over, potentially forever, unless it is eaten or destroyed by some outside force. It does not hold the key to human immortality, but it does remind us that nature's imagination reaches far beyond our own. There, floating quietly in the sea, is a creature that rewinds time, not once, but again and again. Trees whisper to one another through a hidden network. In the great stillness of a forest, a secret conversation is unfolding beneath your feet. Trees, long imagined as solitary giants standing alone in the wind, are in fact connected by vast underground networks of fungal threads known as mycorrhizae. Through these delicate filaments, trees exchange nutrients, send chemical signals, and even share warnings about pests and drought. Older trees, sometimes called mother trees, quietly support their offspring by funneling sugars and resources through this hidden web. It is not a poetic metaphor. It is a biological network so vast and so complex that some scientists have begun calling it the wood wide web. A birch tree may support a neighboring fir. A dying tree may pass its last remaining energy to the forest around it. This is a quiet form of intelligence, not conscious perhaps, but deeply cooperative. In this silent world of roots and fungi, the forest is not a scattered collection of individuals. It is a single, breathing, sharing community. Tardigrades can survive in outer space. They are tiny, strange, and almost impossibly durable. They are called tardigrades, though many people know them by a gentler nickname, water bears. These microscopic creatures are less than a millimeter long, and under a microscope they look like wrinkled, eight-legged gummy bears wandering slowly through droplets of water. But do not let their size fool you. Tardigrades can survive conditions that would destroy almost any other form of life. Freezing temperatures close to absolute zero, boiling heat, crushing pressure, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. In the year 2007, scientists launched them into orbit, and they came back alive. How do they do it? By entering a state called cryptobiosis. In this quiet mode, they dry themselves out almost completely and suspend their metabolism to a whisper. They do not die. They simply wait, sometimes for years on end, and when water returns, they gently reawaken as though nothing at all had happened. Tardigrades remind us that life is tougher, stranger, and more adaptable than we ever imagined, even when it is drifting through the stars. Oxygen was once a deadly poison. Today, we breathe it in with every soft, ordinary moment. But long ago, oxygen was Earth's most dangerous pollutant. More than 2 billion years ago, early microbial life thrived in an atmosphere without oxygen at all. These ancient organisms, known as anaerobes, were the planet's very first inhabitants. Then came the cyanobacteria, tiny photosynthetic microbes that began releasing oxygen as a quiet byproduct of their existence. At first, it was only a trickle, but over millions upon millions of years, oxygen slowly gathered in the oceans and the air, triggering what is now known as the Great Oxidation Event. For countless anaerobic species, oxygen was pure poison. It corroded their cells, disrupted their ancient metabolisms, and caused a mass extinction that reshaped the young planet. But for others, this invisible gas became a strange new source of energy. In time, it powered the rise of complex, multicellular life, including us. So in a quiet, humbling way, the breath that keeps you alive is also the lingering echo of a mass extinction. Oxygen is not only life-giving, it is a history written into every single inhale. Some plants eat animals. We often picture plants as gentle and passive, green shapes reaching quietly for the sun. But not every plant waits politely for its nutrients to arrive. Some go hunting. Carnivorous plants like the Venus flytrap, the pitcher plant, and the sundew lure insects with sweet scents or sticky nectar, and then, quietly, they snap or trap. A Venus flytrap actually counts the footsteps of its prey. It closes only when it senses multiple touches, so it does not waste its energy on a stray raindrop or a curious breeze. Pitcher plants form deep, slippery wells filled with digestive enzymes, into which insects slide and cannot escape. Others, like sundews, glisten with tiny tentacles that curl around their prey like slow, sticky arms. Why do they do this? Because they live in poor soil, in places where nitrogen is very hard to find. So they adapt, not with teeth or claws, but with patience and clever design. These quiet predators remind us that survival takes many shapes, and that even the gentlest green leaf might hide a hidden appetite beneath its calm. Every single leaf is a masterpiece of design, carrying a pattern all its own, as unique as a fingerprint. Hold a single leaf up toward the light, and you will notice a very quiet miracle unfolding in your hand. Each one is a finely tuned machine, soft to the touch, yet crafted with microscopic precision. At its very heart lies a delicate network of veins, like slow rivers branching gently across a small green landscape. These pathways carry water, minerals, and sugars into every quiet corner of the leaf, patiently fueling the ancient process of photosynthesis. The surface is dotted with tiny pores called stomata, small valves that open and close in silence, letting carbon dioxide drift in and oxygen slip softly out. The green pigment known as chlorophyll gathers the sunlight and turns it into energy, not only for the plant itself, but for nearly every living thing that breathes upon this earth. Some leaves can follow the sun across the sky, turning slowly like sleepers rolling toward a window. Others repel water, trap insects, or store gentle warmth within their layers. No two are ever exactly the same in form or in function. Each leaf is a masterpiece, fragile, beautiful, and quietly alive with purpose. And now, drift with me a little further, because the next wonder waits at the edge of the water. Some oceans, it turns out, glow in the dark. Imagine walking along a hushed beach at night, the sand cool beneath your feet, and seeing the waves shimmer with an eerie blue-green light. This phenomenon is entirely real, and it is caused by tiny living things known as bioluminescent plankton. When they are disturbed by movement, by a breaking wave, by the swirl of a swimmer's slow hand, they release a small, cold flash of light. It is not reflected moonlight, but a soft chemical reaction happening inside their bodies, the same kind of glow used by fireflies drifting through the summer sky. In places such as Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico or the quiet lagoons of the Maldives, this glow can light up entire shorelines, turning the sea into a shimmering, breathing dreamscape. No electricity, no magic, only biology. Bioluminescence has evolved many times over in Earth's oceans, used for everything from camouflage to whispered communication in the deep. And here, along the darkened tide, the sea offers a gentle, glowing reminder that even in the darkest of waters, life still finds a way to shine. Let your thoughts settle a little closer now, closer than the shoreline, closer even than your own skin, because the next wonder lives inside you. Your body, it seems, is more microbe than human. You might feel like a single person, one body, one mind, one quiet breath in the dark. But in reality, you are an entire living community. Your body contains more microbial cells than human ones. Trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea live upon your skin, inside your mouth, and deep within the warm hollows of your gut. This vast, hidden gathering is called your microbiome, and it is not simply along for the ride. It helps to digest your food, to train your immune system, to produce vitamins, and even to influence your mood and your behavior. In many ways, the microbiome is an extension of your body's own quiet intelligence, a vast, invisible partner in nearly everything you do. Some microbes protect you, others compete with unwelcome invaders. And just as no two fingerprints in this world are ever alike, your microbiome is uniquely, entirely yours. So the next time you feel alone in the hush of the night, remember that you are never truly by yourself. You are a walking ecosystem, a world within a world, breathing softly beneath the stars. Drift with me a little further, into the warm green shadows of a distant forest, because there is another quiet marvel worth pausing over. Ants can build bridges out of their own bodies. In the deep forests of South America, army ants are always on the move, flowing across the jungle floor like a slow, living river. But when they reach a gap, or a fallen branch, or some other small obstacle, they do not stop. Instead, they build bridges out of themselves. One ant anchors to a twig, another climbs onto its back, then another, and then another still, until a living structure begins to form, flexible and strong. Thousands of ants may link together in this way, adjusting in real time to the weight and the traffic passing above them. When the colony has finished crossing, the bridge quietly disassembles, and the ants rejoin the endless march. These living bridges are not commanded by any leader. Instead, they emerge from countless small local decisions, each ant responding to its neighbors, guided by instinct and gentle touch. It is a stunning example of collective intelligence, a shape-shifting structure made entirely of life, one body among many, all working softly as one. And yet, even that is not the strangest wonder still ahead. Octopuses, it turns out, can rewrite their own genetic instructions. In the silent depths of the ocean, the octopus drifts like a dream, shape-shifting, color-shifting, and watching the world with strange, alien eyes. It is already one of the most intelligent creatures on Earth, but what lies beneath is even stranger still. Octopuses can edit their own RNA, the molecular scripts that translate DNA into proteins. While most animals stick faithfully to the genetic code they were born with, octopuses can make real-time adjustments to the way their genes are expressed. This means they can fine-tune their biology on the fly, altering how their neurons work, how they sense the world around them, or how they respond to temperature and to stress. It is not quite the same as changing their DNA, but it gives them a remarkable, quiet flexibility. We do not yet fully understand why or how they do this, but it adds one more soft mystery to a creature that already seems to have arrived from another world. Now let your mind wander gently across the wide, branching tree of life, because some animals, it seems, may actually recognize themselves. Most animals can see their reflection, but very few appear to recognize the face looking back. Self-recognition is a rare thing in nature. It is often seen as a sign of higher awareness, a quiet sense of self. In the mirror test, an animal is marked with a small spot that it cannot see without a reflection. If it then tries to examine or touch that mark while looking in the mirror, it suggests that the animal understands the image is itself. So far, only a small handful of species have passed this test. Great apes, dolphins, elephants, magpies, and possibly manta rays. Even some fish show gentle signs of mirror awareness. This does not mean that they possess a human style of consciousness, but it hints at something quietly remarkable, that awareness may not belong to us alone. The soft spark of self might flicker inside minds very different from our own. And across the great tree of life, the boundary between I and other may not be as clear as we once believed. Drift a little deeper now, deeper than any single lifetime, because life itself has already survived 5 great extinctions. Life on Earth is ancient and astonishingly resilient. Over the past 500 million years, our planet has passed through at least 5 mass extinction events. Each one wiped out the majority of species living at that time. The most devastating of them, known as the Permian extinction, erased over 90% of all marine life and around 70% of land species. Volcanoes, asteroids, sudden shifts in the climate. Each time the world changed beyond recognition, and each time somehow life came back. Not the same life, but something quietly new. From the ashes of extinction, ecosystems reshaped themselves. Tiny survivors, small and unassuming, became the ancestors of entirely new lineages. It is a quiet, humbling testament to the persistence of biology, a soft reminder, whispered across deep time, that even after the darkest of endings, something tender still returns. Life does not merely endure, it adapts, evolves, and reinvents itself. We are part of that story, born from ancient survivors who lived through darkness and silence, and somehow found a way forward, a thread left unbroken, even through catastrophe. And as you settle deeper into stillness, let the quiet wonders keep drifting past, each one softer than the last. Mushrooms can control the behavior of insects. In the shaded dampness of a forest, a strange drama unfolds, one that blurs the line between plant and puppet master. Certain fungi, such as those in the genus Ophiocordyceps, infect insects like ants, slipping into their bodies and their brains. Once inside, the fungus begins to grow, releasing chemicals that alter the insect's behavior. The ant, now under fungal control, climbs high into the vegetation and clamps its jaws onto a leaf or a branch, and then it stops. The fungus kills its host and sprouts a stalk from the body, releasing spores that drift down to infect others below. It is a gruesome, precise cycle, honed over millions of years. Scientists still do not fully understand how the fungus manipulates the nervous system so effectively. But in this quiet war of biology, even the smallest organisms wield astonishing power. The forest is more than green and peaceful. It is full of unseen strategies, some elegant, some terrifying, all of them very old. The color blue is rare in nature. Look around you. The sky, the ocean, the shimmer of a butterfly's wing. Blue seems to be everywhere. And yet, in the natural world, blue is one of the rarest pigments. Most blue creatures, like blue jays, morpho butterflies, or peacocks, do not actually contain blue pigment at all. Instead, their color comes from structure. Microscopic patterns on their surfaces bend and scatter light in a way that reflects blue wavelengths back to our eyes. It is called structural coloration, an optical illusion shaped by geometry, not by dye. True blue pigments are difficult for living organisms to produce, and only a few have ever managed it. That makes every natural blue a kind of trick, a quiet conversation between light and the tiniest architecture. So the next time you see a flash of blue somewhere in the wild, remember, you are not just seeing color, you are watching light dance on the edge of biology and physics. Elephants grieve their dead. Among the tall grasses and the dust of the savannah, elephants do something that few other animals are known to do. They mourn. When an elephant comes upon the bones of a departed relative or old companion, it slows down. It reaches out with its trunk and gently touches the remains. It lingers. Some have been observed returning to the very same spot years later, softly examining the bones once again. Elephants have even been seen standing guard over the dying, staying close, refusing to leave. Their grief may not be exactly like ours, but it is something deeply felt. They form strong family bonds, remember old friends, and seem to carry emotional weight across the years. It is a quiet truth that humbles us, that empathy, loss, and love may not belong to humans alone. In the hearts of these great, gentle giants, something very old and tender stirs, a recognition of life's impermanence. And perhaps, just before drifting further into sleep, there is a stranger wonder still waiting, one built by creatures smaller than a fingertip. Coral reefs are built by tiny animal architects. Coral reefs are among the most vibrant ecosystems on Earth, yet they are not built by plants or by stone. They are built by animals. Each coral is a colony of tiny creatures called polyps. They feed by extending stinging tentacles to catch drifting plankton, and they build their homes by secreting calcium carbonate, forming the stony skeletons that eventually become reefs. Over time, these skeletons accumulate, layer upon layer, forming massive underwater structures that can stretch for hundreds of kilometers. And within these reefs, life flourishes. Fish, crustaceans, mollusks, sea turtles, and countless other creatures find shelter here. Despite covering less than 1% of the ocean floor, coral reefs support nearly a quarter of all marine life. They are living cities, built not by design, but by the slow labor of millions of unseen architects. Delicate, colorful, and deeply vulnerable, reefs are a gentle reminder of how much life can rise from the smallest hands. Slime molds can solve mazes without a brain. They look like something from a science fiction film, and in many ways they behave like it too. Slime molds are single-celled organisms that live in soil, decaying wood, and other damp, hidden places. They have no brain, no nervous system, and yet they can solve mazes. In laboratory experiments, scientists place a slime mold inside a maze with food at two of its exits. The slime spreads out in all directions at first, then slowly pulls back, leaving behind the most efficient path between the 2 points. It does not think, it does not plan, and yet, somehow, it figures it out. Slime molds use chemical gradients and gentle feedback to explore their environment, a kind of distributed intelligence written quietly into their bodies. They have even been used to model transportation networks, showing surprising parallels to human systems. It is a strange, mesmerizing reminder that intelligence comes in many forms, and not all of them need a brain. The Amazon makes its own rain. The Amazon rainforest does not simply absorb rain. It creates it. Each day as sunlight warms the canopy, billions of trees release moisture into the air through a process called transpiration. This vapor rises, cools, and condenses into clouds, which then fall back again as rain, feeding the forest below. It is a cycle so vast and so efficient that the Amazon generates much of its own weather. This self-sustaining loop helps regulate the climate of an entire continent and even influences weather patterns far across the Atlantic. The forest is not just a collection of trees, but a vast breathing system, and when parts of it are lost through deforestation or fire, the cycle weakens, rain lessens, droughts spread. The Amazon is often called the lungs of the earth, but it is also the beating heart of South America's skies, pulsing moisture, breath, and life into the air itself. Some frogs freeze solid and still survive. In the icy stillness of winter, some frogs undergo one of the most astonishing transformations in the animal kingdom. They freeze, not just slow down, but literally turn solid. The wood frog of North America can survive being frozen for days or even weeks, and yet what happens inside its tiny body is a mystery we will follow into the next quiet stretch of the night. Its heart stops, its blood turns to ice, its organs shut down, and its body stiffens completely. Yet thanks to the natural antifreeze compounds woven into its tissues, the frog's cells remain intact, whole, and undisturbed. When spring returns and temperatures rise, the ice quietly melts, and the frog wakes up, hopping away as though nothing had ever happened. This is not a metaphor. It is cryogenic survival, shaped patiently by evolution. Scientists study these small frogs in the hope of learning how to preserve human tissues or how to understand the outer edges of biological resilience. For now, they remain quiet miracles of adaptation, tiny amphibians that defy winter's grip and return, heartbeat by heartbeat, to the living world. Whales can sing across entire oceans. Beneath the surface of the sea, songs drift through the dark. Long, slow, and haunting, the calls of blue whales can travel for thousands of miles underwater. These low-frequency vocalizations are among the loudest and deepest sounds made by any animal on Earth, and in the quiet depths, they can echo from coast to coast. Whales use these songs to find mates, to navigate, and to communicate across vast, open distances. Each population has its own dialect, and their songs can evolve over time, passed down like oral traditions, carried through generations. Some species, like the humpback, create long, intricate melodies that shift year by year, with different whales contributing new phrases. We don't fully understand everything they are saying, but we know that it matters. These are not random sounds. They are messages shared across a watery world, among creatures who have roamed Earth's oceans for longer than any human memory can hold. Seeds can lie dormant for thousands of years. Seeds are tiny time travelers. They may seem like simple, lifeless things, but inside they carry the blueprint for life, and sometimes an almost incredible patience. Some seeds can remain dormant for decades, even centuries, waiting for the perfect moment to sprout. In one remarkable case, a date palm seed found at an archaeological site 2,000 years old was successfully germinated in modern times. It had slept through empires, through seasons, through silence itself, and then, with a little water and warmth, it woke and grew. Some seeds survive freezing, fire, or burial beneath meters of earth. They are equipped with protective coats, complex chemistry, and a finely tuned sensitivity to their environment. When the moment is right, and not before, they begin again. In every seed lies a quiet promise that life can wait, endure, and return. A single grain of stillness, holding the future within its shell. Bioluminescence has evolved more than 40 separate times. The glow of fireflies, the twinkle of plankton in the surf, the flicker of a deep-sea anglerfish's lure. These lights are not borrowed. They are made by life itself. Bioluminescence, the ability to produce light through chemical reactions, has evolved independently at least 40 times across the tree of life. From bacteria to fungi, from squid to jellyfish, organisms have developed their own quiet ways to glow. Some use light to attract prey, others to warn predators. Some use it to find mates, or, remarkably, to vanish in plain sight. In the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches, bioluminescence is everywhere, a flickering, drifting constellation of living stars. The chemistry itself is elegant. An enzyme called luciferase interacts with a light-producing molecule called luciferin, releasing energy as visible light. Simple, silent, stunning. A shared language of glow that life is written again and again, in caves, in waves, and in the furthest corners of darkness. Your bones are made of stardust. This is not poetry. This is physics. The calcium in your bones, the very structure that holds you upright, was forged long ago in the heart of ancient stars. In the final moments of a massive star's life, elements heavier than helium are created through nuclear fusion. When the star finally explodes in a supernova, those elements are scattered across space. Over time, they drift into slow clouds of dust and gas, mixing and settling, until gravity gently pulls them together once more. Planets form, oceans rise, and eventually, on one small blue world, life begins. The calcium, the iron, the carbon, the oxygen in your body, all of it comes from those ancient stars. You don't just live in the universe, you are the universe, arranged in a pattern that can think, breathe, and wonder. You are, quite literally, made of stardust, walking on a world shaped by light and time. Some insects can see in ultraviolet. When you look at a flower, you see color, perhaps yellow, red, or blue. But to many insects, especially bees, flowers look entirely different. That is because they can see ultraviolet light, a part of the spectrum invisible to the human eye. To them, the plain-looking petal may blaze with glowing patterns, with landing guides, with radiant rings, all designed to lead them gently to the nectar within. These patterns are not merely beautiful, they are functional, evolved through mutual benefit. The flower gets pollinated, the bee gets fed. Other insects use ultraviolet vision to navigate, to find mates, or to spot predators before they strike. Even the humble cabbage butterfly sees the world in shades we cannot imagine. And so, while we share the same planet, we do not share the same visual world. There is a hidden spectrum all around us, filled with lights, signs, and colors we will never quite see. Kangaroos can pause their pregnancies. Deep in the heart of the Australian outback, kangaroos carry a remarkable secret, the ability to pause time inside their own bodies. When conditions are harsh, or when a joey is already tucked inside the pouch, a mother kangaroo can delay the development of a fertilized egg. This phenomenon, called embryonic diapause, allows her body to wait patiently for the right moment to continue the pregnancy. She might be nurturing one joey outside the womb, one in the pouch, and holding a third on pause, all at once. When food becomes available, or when the pouch is finally vacated, the embryo simply resumes its development. It is a brilliant strategy for survival in an unpredictable climate. This natural pause button means kangaroos can time their reproduction with remarkable, quiet precision. In a land of extremes, nature has given them flexibility, a quiet mastery over time itself, written into their very biology. And now, drift with me a little deeper, because some fish, in the colorful chaos of coral reefs, carry an even stranger secret. They can change from male to female, or the other way around. Clownfish, for example, live in small social groups bound by a strict hierarchy. The largest fish is female, and only she breeds with the dominant male. If she dies, the male changes sex, becoming the new matriarch. In other species, such as wrasses, females can become males, often when the dominant male disappears. This transition is not merely behavioral, it is biological. Hormones shift, organs restructure, roles roles reverse. It is a natural adaptation that helps sustain reproduction in ever-changing environments. In the ocean, identity is not always fixed. It can shift with need, with opportunity, or with the drifting currents of chance. And in these quiet transformations, we glimpse just how fluid life can be, flexible, responsive, and endlessly surprising. Birds navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. Every year, birds travel thousands of miles across mountains, oceans, and even continents, returning to the very same nesting sites with astonishing precision. How do they do it? One secret lies deep within their biology, an ability to sense the Earth's magnetic field. Some birds carry tiny crystals of magnetite in their beaks or heads, working like an internal compass. Others may use specialized proteins in their eyes, allowing them to see magnetic fields as patterns or gentle visual cues. This magnetic sense, called magnetoception, works alongside the sun, the stars, and the landscape to guide their long way home. It is a subtle and elegant system, an ancient map etched into the nervous system. We do not yet understand every detail, but we know it works. Birds fly home not only by memory or instinct, but by feeling the invisible forces that surround the Earth itself. The Earth breathes through the carbon cycle. Our planet is alive in more ways than we often realize, and one of its deepest rhythms is the carbon cycle. Carbon moves through air, water, plants, animals, and stone in a slow, interconnected flow. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide. Plants take it in during photosynthesis, building leaves, stems, and roots. Animals eat those plants. Decomposers break down what remains. Volcanoes exhale it. Oceans absorb it. Some of this carbon becomes fossil fuels, some becomes stone, and some lingers in the open air. This global exchange helps regulate climate, sustain life, and shape ecosystems. It is a cycle that moves not only through years, but through eons, and right now, it is out of balance, tilted by human activity. Understanding this cycle helps us see Earth not as something static, but as something breathing, in and out, light and dark, growth and decay, a living system quietly spinning in space. Bacteria were the first builders of Earth's surface. Before plants, before animals, even before the oxygen we breathe, there were bacteria, and some of them built structures that still stand today. Stromatolites are ancient, rock-like formations found in shallow waters around the world. They are made by cyanobacteria, microbes that trap and bind sediments over time, layer by layer, patient beyond imagining. Fossilized stromatolites date back more than 3.5 billion years. They are among the oldest evidence of life on Earth. These microbial communities help shape the planet's surface and atmosphere, releasing oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. Eventually, that oxygen changed everything, paving the way for complex life. Today, living stromatolites can still be found in places like Shark Bay in Australia. Quiet, strange, and ancient, they stand as monuments to the earliest engineers, builders without tools, architects without eyes, just patient, microscopic life, laying the groundwork for all that would ever follow. Dolphins have names for each other. In the ocean's shimmering blue, dolphins communicate with an intricate language of clicks and whistles. But there is something even more remarkable waiting beneath the surface. They seem to have names. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle early in life, a kind of acoustic identity. Other dolphins learn and remember this whistle, using it to call out to specific individuals. It is not mimicry, it is recognition. When researchers played back a dolphin's own signature whistle, the animal responded much as a person might turn when hearing their name. This behavior suggests a level of social memory and identity once thought to be uniquely human. Dolphins live in complex, ever-changing groups. Being able to identify and track individuals helps them maintain bonds, manage relationships, and navigate their fluid social world. In the deep, dolphins speak, and in their calls we glimpse something astonishing. the roots of language echoing softly beneath the waves. The Sahara was once a lush, green paradise. Today, the Sahara stretches like a golden sea, vast, hot, and dry. But not so long ago, it was something else entirely. Roughly 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, much of the Sahara was green. Rain fell regularly, rivers flowed, lakes shimmered under the sun. Wildlife roamed across the grasslands. Elephants, crocodiles, giraffes, and humans lived there, leaving behind cave paintings of an abundant, teeming world. This period, known as the African humid period, was driven by subtle shifts in Earth's orbit, which altered the strength of the seasonal monsoons. Eventually, the rains faded and the desert returned. But deep beneath the sands lie ancient lake beds, fossilized trees, and buried evidence of a world transformed. The Sahara is not just a desert, it is a memory, a gentle reminder that even the harshest landscapes were once soft, green, and alive, and might be again one distant day. Bees can understand the concept of zero. They are tiny, they buzz, and they pollinate our world. But bees can also do something astonishing, and this is perhaps the strangest turn of all. They seem to understand zero. In experiments, bees were trained to associate fewer shapes with a sweet reward. When shown a blank card, one without any shapes at all, they consistently chose it over cards marked with one or more. This gentle finding suggests that bees quietly grasp the abstract idea that none is less than some. Only a small handful of animals, such as chimpanzees, dolphins, and parrots, have ever demonstrated this kind of numerical reasoning. That bees, with their tiny brains, can do the very same thing is nothing short of remarkable. It hints at a form of intelligence not limited by the size of a brain, but shaped instead by need and by evolution. Deep inside a hive, thousands of minds work as one. And yet, even a single bee, taken on its own, holds quiet surprises. A small body, a big mind, a soft buzz, and a brilliant little brain. And if a creature that small can shift the way we think about intelligence, imagine what a single larger animal might do to an entire landscape. Because our next story begins with a howl. Wolves change the very shape of rivers. When wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park in the 1990s, something quietly incredible began to happen. They did not simply affect the deer populations. They reshaped the entire landscape. With fewer grazing animals wandering the meadows, vegetation along the riverbanks slowly recovered. Trees and shrubs grew taller. Birds returned. Beavers built their dams. The healthier plant life stabilized the soil, reducing erosion and changing the way water moved across the land. In some places, rivers became narrower and more meandering, more stable in their course. This gentle phenomenon, known as a trophic cascade, shows how a single species can influence an entire ecosystem. Wolves, by simply doing what wolves do, created a ripple effect that transformed forests, waterways, and animal populations alike. It is a soft, powerful reminder that nature is interconnected in ways we often cannot see. Every creature plays a role, sometimes subtle, sometimes profound, and in the distant howl of a returning wolf, the land begins to heal. Flowers can hear the buzz of bees. We often think of flowers as passive things, colorful, fragrant, and perfectly still. But some flowers are quietly listening. Research has shown that certain plants can respond to the sound of a bee's buzz. When a pollinator draws near, the vibration of its wings triggers the flower to produce sweeter nectar within just a few minutes. The flower does not have ears, of course, but its petals vibrate in response to sound, acting like sensory organs that detect specific frequencies. This helps ensure the plant offers a richer reward at exactly the moment a pollinator is close. It is a quiet dialogue. The bee calls, and the flower answers. This subtle acoustic awareness adds yet another layer to how we understand plant behavior. Even without nerves or brains, plants can sense, respond, and adapt in real time. The garden is not silent. It is full of delicate, humming conversations. Lichens are two organisms living as one. On stones, on tree bark, and on high mountain cliffs, you will find lichens, simple, crusty patches of color clinging to the surface. But these quiet organisms hold a surprising truth. They are not one life form, but two, and sometimes even more. A lichen is a partnership between a fungus and an alga, or a cyanobacterium. The fungus provides structure and protection, while the photosynthetic partner turns sunlight into food. Together they can survive in places too harsh for either one alone, from Arctic tundra to dry deserts. It is not always a gentle partnership. Sometimes the fungus dominates, coaxing the alga into a kind of submission. But the result is resilience, a blended life form that can thrive where few others can. Lichens are ancient, stable, and essential to many ecosystems. They break down rock into soil, provide food, and create shelter. Two species, one life. A quiet collaboration written softly into the surface of the world. Water bears may outlive every other species. They are microscopic, squishy, and in their own strange way, surprisingly cute. But tardigrades, also known as water bears, are among the toughest organisms on Earth. You have met them before in this gentle list, surviving the emptiness of space, and yet their resilience runs even deeper. Tardigrades can endure freezing, boiling, intense radiation, crushing pressure, and total dehydration. They have been found on the tops of mountains, at the bottom of oceans, and deep within solid ice. When conditions turn harsh, they curl into a dormant state called a tun, essentially hitting pause on life itself. In this state, they can survive for decades, perhaps even for centuries. Some scientists believe that tardigrades could even survive mass extinction events that erase larger life forms, from asteroid impacts to sweeping global radiation. They are not invincible, but they are astonishingly prepared. In the quietest corners of the world, the water bear waits, tiny, timeless, and always ready to begin again. But even the toughest survivor cannot slow the passage of time, or can it? Because somewhere beneath the earth, another small creature has quietly bent the rules of aging. Naked mole rats do not age like other mammals. They are strange, wrinkled, and they live their whole lives underground. Yet naked mole rats are one of the most biologically fascinating mammals alive. Unlike most creatures, they seem to defy the usual patterns of aging. They do not show a typical increase in mortality risk as they grow older. They resist cancer, tolerate low oxygen environments, and can live up to 30 years, an astonishingly long time for a rodent. Their cells remain stable. Their proteins resist damage. In fact, a 5-year-old mole rat looks very much like a 25-year-old one, internally at least. They live in complex underground colonies with a single breeding queen, much like the social insects. Scientists study them closely for clues about longevity, cancer resistance, and resilience under stress. In the dim tunnels beneath the earth, these creatures lead quiet, hidden lives, soft-skinned and small, yet carrying secrets that may one day help us all. The human body contains trillions of cells. You are made of stardust and stories, and also of about 30 trillion cells. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat is the quiet work of countless microscopic parts, each with its own role to play. Muscle cells contract, neurons fire, red blood cells deliver oxygen, skin cells renew, gut cells digest, immune cells defend. Together, these diverse cells form a single unified body, one being made of many. But your body is also full of gentle movement. Cells are constantly dying and being replaced. You rebuild yourself piece by piece, every single day. You are not static. You are a living symphony of cellular cooperation. And still, somehow, it all works in perfect balance. Even now, as you rest, millions of cells are working quietly to keep you whole. You are not a single thing. You are a community, a miracle of coordination, humming softly beneath your skin. Some parrots can outsmart a small child. They are colorful, talkative, and often playful. Yet parrots are also among the most intelligent animals on the planet. Studies have shown that certain species, such as the African gray parrot, can count, understand concepts like same and different, and even grasp the idea of zero. One famous parrot named Alex learned to identify colors, shapes, and quantities. He could ask for what he wanted, express frustration, and answer surprisingly complex questions. In many tasks, he performed on par with, or even better than, a human toddler. Parrots use their intelligence in the wild as well, solving problems, navigating complicated social groups, even fashioning simple tools. Their brains are structured differently from ours, but evolution has quietly found a parallel path. When a parrot speaks, it is not merely mimicking, it may also be thinking. Bright feathers, brighter minds, and the little bird that just might be smarter than you imagine. The ocean holds more life than all the land combined. We walk the land, we live beneath the sky, but most of Earth's life is hidden beneath the waves. The ocean covers more than 70% of the planet's surface and contains the vast majority of all living biomass. From the tiniest plankton to the largest whales, from glowing jellies to slow, swaying forests of kelp, marine life thrives in forms almost too numerous to count. Coral reefs, open water, deep trenches, each one supports a unique community. Even a single drop of seawater can contain thousands of microscopic organisms. We have explored only a fraction of the deep ocean. Much of it remains untouched, mysterious, and brimming with unknown life. And yet, the strangest part of the story is still ahead of us. The sea is not empty, it is teeming. A vast living world beneath the surface, pulsing with currents and song. The greatest wilderness on Earth is blue. Earth's oldest living creature is a trembling tree. In a quiet grove in Utah stands what may be the oldest known living organism on our planet. It does not look ancient. Just a cluster of ordinary seeming trees with softly trembling leaves. But beneath the surface, they are all connected. This is Pando, a clonal colony of quaking aspens. Each trunk you see is genetically identical, part of a single root system that may be more than 80,000 years old. Pando does not reproduce with seeds. Instead, it sends up new stems from its roots, generation after generation, forming a living forest made of one tree. Though individual trunks die and regrow, the organism as a whole endures. It has survived ice ages, storms, and time itself. A forest that is also a single being, ancient, quiet, and still very much alive, rooted in place and reaching, always, toward the sky. Some viruses can be beneficial. When we think of viruses, we usually think of illness, but not all viruses are harmful. Some play essential roles in shaping life, evolution, and even our own health. Certain viruses attack harmful bacteria in the human gut, helping to keep the microbial world in balance. Others influence gene expression, insert useful DNA into our genomes, or help cells adapt to stress. In fact, a portion of the human genome, nearly 8%, comes from ancient viral DNA passed down over millions of years. Some of these viral genes are now vital to our biology, involved in everything from brain development to reproduction. Viruses are not only invaders, they are part of life's long history and part of its future. Tiny threads woven into the fabric of who we are, not always as threats, but sometimes as quiet allies. Sharks have been on Earth longer than trees. Sharks are often seen as modern predators, sleek, fast, and dangerous, but their lineage is far older than it appears. Sharks have existed for more than 400 million years. Trees, by comparison, only appeared around 350 million years ago. That means sharks were already swimming in Earth's oceans before a single leaf ever shaded the land. They have survived 5 mass extinctions, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Their basic body plan has changed very little over time, a quiet testament to how effective and well adapted they truly are. Modern sharks come in hundreds of forms, from gentle whale sharks to hammerheads and deep-sea lantern sharks. But all of them carry the legacy of deep time, a lineage almost unimaginably old. Each glide through the water is a motion shaped by eons, silent, steady, and enduring. Rainforests make their own clouds. Rainforests are not just shaped by the weather, they help create it. Every day, trees draw water up from the soil and release it through their leaves in a process called transpiration. This moisture rises into the air and condenses into clouds. In places like the Amazon, this constant cycling of water helps sustain rainfall, not only locally, but across entire regions. When the forest is healthy, it supports its own climate. But when trees are lost, the effect is profound. Less moisture means fewer clouds, and eventually, less rain. A tipping point can be reached where the forest can no longer sustain itself. Rainforests are not passive landscapes. They are engines of the atmosphere, breathing out mist, cloud, and life. When you stand beneath the canopy, you are standing in the lungs of a continent. Some crabs decorate themselves with living sponges. In the coastal shallows, one small creature practices a quiet kind of camouflage with a curious twist. Decor crabs do not simply blend into their environment. They become part of it. They carefully pick up bits of algae, seaweed, and sponges and attach them to their shells using tiny hooked hairs. Some even place living sponges on their backs, which continue to grow as the crab moves. This serves many purposes at once, hiding from predators, mimicking the surroundings, and sometimes even gaining chemical protection. The sponge may release toxins or unpleasant flavors, making the crab far less appetizing. It is a collaboration, not quite symbiosis, but close, a moving reef, a creature that wears its home like a costume, always adjusting, always slipping just out of sight. In these quiet waters, disguise becomes an art form, patient, unhurried, and endlessly inventive. Insects outnumber humans by billions to one. The world, in truth, belongs to them. For every single person on Earth, there are somewhere around 200 million insects. They live in every ecosystem imaginable, from the high canopies of rainforests to the frozen edges of the tundra, from desert sands still warm at midnight to the salt-touched shores of the sea. Beetles alone make up nearly a quarter of every animal species we have ever named. Insects pollinate our crops. They recycle nutrients. They break down waste and feed countless other creatures along the way. They have been here for more than 400 million years, and they have survived every great extinction event this planet has known. Some live only for minutes, others live for years. They build cities beneath our feet, wage quiet wars, and farm crops of their own. Their societies can be astonishingly complex, their adaptations almost without end. Though small, they are mighty, shaping the world in ways most of us never even see. We may believe we rule the land, but the insects were here first, and they will very likely still be here long after we are gone. Drift a little deeper now, because the strangest wonders are still ahead of us. Birds of paradise perform elaborate dances to attract a mate. Deep in the rainforests of New Guinea and the islands nearby, these birds display an almost unbelievable kind of beauty. Their feathers shimmer in metallic blues, in fiery oranges, in deep velvet blacks. Some sprout plumes that trail like ribbons. Others unfold delicate fans, or bounce upon long, quivering tail wires. But it is not only about how they look. These birds perform elaborate dances, each species with its own careful choreography. They hop, they spin, they bow, they pose in precise sequences, all of it accompanied by soft clicks, whistles, and the flutter of feathers. Females watch from above, choosing their partners based on the performance itself. This intense selection has driven the evolution of some of the most extravagant traits in the entire animal kingdom. Behind every dance lies a quiet story of patience, of showmanship, of life's wild creativity. In these gentle courtship rituals, we glimpse evolution's flair for the dramatic and nature's endless love of spectacle. Spiders spin silk that is stronger than steel. In the quiet corners of attics, in the branches of trees, along garden gates and window frames, spiders weave something truly extraordinary. Their silk, drawn out from their bodies in long, delicate strands, is among the strongest materials found anywhere in nature. Weight for weight, spider silk is stronger than steel and far more flexible than any wire we know. It can stretch without breaking. It can absorb enormous amounts of energy. It can form complex structures, webs, nets, delicate egg sacs cradling the next generation. Each thread is made from proteins arranged in microscopic patterns, assembled with a precision no human factory has ever quite matched. Different spiders produce different kinds of silk, each with its own purpose, sticky, smooth, tough, or soft as breath. Some can even spin silk beneath the water or while gliding gently through the air. Scientists study spider silk, hoping to use it for medical sutures, for bulletproof materials, for light and graceful engineering. But for now, the spider spins quietly on, crafting small miracles from within, one silken thread at a time. Fireflies use light to speak to one another. On warm summer nights, the darkness comes alive with tiny bursts of glow. Fireflies, also called lightning bugs, communicate through bioluminescent signals, patterns of blinking that shift by species, by region, even by gender. Males rise through the still air, flashing their specific rhythms. Females answer from the grass or from low branches, replying in careful, measured beats. It is a courtship dialogue written entirely in light. Some species blink slowly, like a heartbeat at rest. Others flash quickly, in rapid, urgent pulses. A few give off a soft, steady glow that never seems to fade. Inside their small abdomens, fireflies mix chemicals such as luciferin with oxygen to create this cold, luminous light, a process that produces no heat at all. It is one of nature's quietest and most enchanting conversations. Fireflies also use their light as a warning. Some species taste bitter or carry a mild toxin. Their glow is both beauty and message, a living language of gentle flashes that dances softly through the dark. Friends, a small request. Support Cosmic Lullaby with a like. It truly helps the channel grow, one sleepy soul at a time. And now, let us drift on together. Some monkeys use medicinal plants to heal themselves. In the forests of Africa and South America, certain monkeys do more than simply eat the leaves around them. They use them as medicine. Researchers have watched chimpanzees and other primates deliberately seeking out bitter, non-nutritious plants whenever they fall sick or find themselves injured. They chew the pith of specific stems, swallow rough leaves whole without chewing, or rub certain substances gently onto their skin. Many of these plants contain antibacterial, antifungal, or anti-parasitic compounds. To give one example, chimpanzees suffering from intestinal parasites will often seek out bitter leaves that help purge the worms from their bodies. They do not consume these plants casually, but only when the symptoms begin to appear. This behavior is known as zoopharmacognosy, animal self-medication. It gently challenges the old idea that only humans use healing remedies. The knowledge may be instinctive, or passed from mother to child, or perhaps both at once. What it reveals, though, is a hidden intelligence moving quietly among the branches and leaves, a living pharmacy waiting to be understood, and some animals already know how to use it. Algae produce most of the oxygen you breathe. Every breath you draw is a quiet gift, not only from trees, but from the ocean as well. Tiny organisms called phytoplankton drift near the surface of the sea, performing photosynthesis in the same way plants do on land. They absorb sunlight, they take in carbon dioxide, and they release oxygen into the world. Despite their microscopic size, these algae produce more than half of all the breathable oxygen on Earth. They form the invisible foundation of marine food chains, supporting everything from the smallest krill to the greatest whales. But their role in shaping the atmosphere is just as vital. Without them, the balance of gases in the air would change, and with it, the climate we know. Phytoplankton respond to temperature, to currents, to nutrients drifting through the water, and they are deeply sensitive to every shift in the ocean around them. They are not visible from shore, and yet they are everywhere, a shimmering cloud beneath the waves, glowing softly with life. With each exhale, remember that the ocean is breathing quietly along with you. Crows can plan for the future. In the quiet corners of forests and cities alike, crows move through their days with purpose and remarkable foresight. These birds, members of the corvid family, have been observed saving tools for later use, hiding food in secret places, and even bartering small objects for rewards. In careful experiments, crows have chosen a less tasty treat in the moment, if it meant receiving something better later on. They have used sticks to fish out food, bent thin wires into little hooks, and shown a quiet understanding of cause and effect. Some even remember the faces of people who have wronged them, and they hold those grudges for years. Their intelligence rivals that of great apes, despite their much smaller brains. And unlike many animals, crows seem to think ahead, not merely act on impulse. They are planners, problem solvers, quiet minds in feathered coats, watching, learning, and remembering. Snakes can see heat with their faces. For certain snakes, sight does not end with light. They can also see warmth. Pit vipers, pythons, and boas possess special organs called pit receptors, small openings on their faces that detect infrared radiation. This allows them to sense the body heat of warm-blooded prey, even in total darkness. The image they perceive is not quite like human vision. It is more like a thermal map, a glowing silhouette of warm shapes drifting against a cooler background. This ability gives snakes a powerful edge during nocturnal hunts, helping them strike with astonishing accuracy. It is not magic, only physics finely tuned into biology. Some scientists compare it to having a sixth sense, the world seen through heat rather than through light. A gentle reminder that every species moves through its own version of reality, shaped by the tools evolution has offered them, and shaped by what they need in order to survive. The Arctic tundra blooms all at once. For most of the year, the Arctic tundra sleeps beneath ice, wind, and silence. But when summer arrives, brief, bright, and urgent, everything changes. In a matter of days, frozen soil softens. The sun lingers in the sky nearly all day, and the ground erupts with flowers, mosses, and grasses in a sudden, breathtaking bloom. It is not a gradual awakening. It is an explosion of color, scent, and life. Pollinators buzz, birds return to nest, mammals forage and raise their young. All of it must unfold within a short window, sometimes just 8 weeks before winter returns. It is a burst of energy that echoes across the food web. The tundra, though harsh and still, knows how to seize its moment. And in this ancient rhythm of stillness and bloom, life keeps time with the sun. But the strangest part is still ahead, for the forest hides something far darker than any winter wind. There is a fungus that turns ants into zombies. Deep in tropical forests, a quiet and eerie transformation unfolds. A parasitic fungus, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, infects ants and takes control of their behavior. Once inside, the fungus spreads through the ant's body, eventually reaching its brain. The ant, still alive, is compelled to leave its colony, climb a plant stem, and clamp its jaws onto a leaf or twig. There it dies, and the fungus continues to grow. A slender stalk bursts from the back of the ant's head, releasing spores into the air to infect others. It is not science fiction. It is a real biological strategy, perfected over millions of years. Though it can feel unsettling, it is also a striking example of how deeply evolution can shape behavior. The forest holds beauty, yes, but also a darker elegance. And sometimes the smallest organisms wield the most quietly chilling power. Sea cucumbers can liquefy their bodies. At first glance, a sea cucumber might not look like much, just a soft, sausage-shaped creature lying on the ocean floor. Yet it holds a remarkable ability. It can turn itself into liquid. When threatened, or when squeezing through tight spaces, a sea cucumber can alter the stiffness of its body by rearranging the proteins in its connective tissue. In seconds, it goes from firm and solid to nearly jelly-like, flowing into cracks and crevices for safety. Then, just as quickly, it can firm up again. Some species can even expel parts of their internal organs as a defense mechanism, and later regenerate them completely. It is a survival strategy like no other, shape-shifting without bones, muscles, or conscious effort, soft, silent, and strangely magical. In the slow rhythm of the sea cucumber glides, dissolving and reforming like water taking on the shape of life. Ice fish have antifreeze in their blood. In the icy waters of the Antarctic, most creatures would freeze solid, but the ice fish does not. Its secret is antifreeze. Ice fish have evolved special proteins in their blood that prevent ice crystals from forming. These antifreeze proteins bind to tiny ice particles and stop them from growing, a biochemical shield against the cold. Ice fish also carry other unusual adaptations. They lack red blood cells and hemoglobin, giving their blood a pale, almost translucent color. Instead, oxygen dissolves directly into their blood plasma and is carried throughout their bodies. They move slowly, carefully, through frigid waters, surviving in temperatures that would kill most other vertebrates. Their strange biology is a small window into how life adapts in the most extreme conditions. In the stillness beneath Antarctic ice, the ice fish drifts, soft-blooded, cold-hearted, and utterly unique. Termites build mounds with natural air conditioning. From the outside, a termite mound may look like little more than a pile of dirt, but inside, it is a marvel of natural engineering, a city built by insects. Some mounds stretch over 9 meters tall and shelter millions of termites within a complex, layered network of chambers and tunnels. What is most remarkable, though, is the ventilation. Termites design their mounds to regulate temperature and airflow using convection currents. Warm air rises and escapes through vents, while cooler air is drawn in from below. This passive air conditioning maintains a stable internal environment, even when outside temperatures swing wildly. No blueprints, no architects, only instinct, iteration, and cooperation. It is a natural form of climate control, achieved without tools or technology. In the soil beneath our feet, insects have built structures that rival our own, quiet, efficient, and beautifully adapted. And yet, even after all this, one more strange wonder is waiting just ahead. Some lizards can squirt blood from their eyes. It sounds like a legend, but it is entirely real. The horned lizard, found across parts of North America, carries within its small body one of the most theatrical defenses in the animal kingdom. It can shoot blood from its own eyes. When a predator draws too near, especially a hungry coyote or fox, the lizard raises the pressure inside the tiny vessels around its eyes until, with a soft internal rupture, they burst. A thin ribbon of blood, laced with foul-tasting chemicals, sprays outward, sometimes crossing nearly a meter of open air. That sudden crimson startle is often enough to confuse, disgust, or unsettle the attacker, granting the lizard those precious seconds it needs to slip away into the dust. The trick does not harm the lizard itself. The little vessels close and heal with remarkable speed. Extreme as it may sound, it is only one of countless strange adaptations life has quietly invented in the long, patient work of survival. In a world where danger seems to wait behind every rock, even a single drop of blood can become a shield. Small, armored, and endlessly surprising, the horned lizard whispers a gentle reminder as we drift onward that nature never, ever runs out of ideas. And speaking of ideas that stretch back almost beyond imagining, let us sink now into a deeper, older story, because life itself first emerged in the deep ocean, long before there were forests, fish, long before there were bones or eyes to see with. Life began in darkness. Deep within Earth's ancient oceans, hydrothermal vents released mineral-rich water into the surrounding sea in slow, endless plumes. Around these vents, the conditions were extreme in every direction: scalding heat, crushing pressure, and a total absence of sunlight. And yet somehow, life found a quiet foothold there. The first organisms were simple, single-celled, without nuclei, feeding not on light, but on chemicals dissolved in the warm water. This process, known as chemosynthesis, may have been the very first form of life on our young planet. Those deep-sea environments still shelter strange, resilient beings: tube worms, pale clams, and heat-loving microbes that thrive in the dark, far from any hint of the sun. Some scientists believe that similar events might unfold on other ocean worlds, on Europa or on Enceladus. If so, life there might begin in the very same way. Far from starlight, born in the warm breath of stone, the ocean's deepest places may also be its oldest cradles. From those quiet abyssal cradles, our slow journey drifts upward into shallower water, where another gentle wonder waits, because starfish can regrow their arms. Beneath the tide, a starfish glides slowly across the seafloor, calm, silent, and wonderfully strange. If one of its arms is lost to a predator, it does not panic. It simply grows it back. Starfish are masters of regeneration. Some species can rebuild not just a single arm, but an entire body from a single severed limb, as long as part of the central disc remains. This ability is made possible by a unique network of stem cells and decentralized nerves. The starfish has no brain, only a nerve ring and a system of small tubes that help it move and feel. It grows slowly, patiently, quietly rewriting its own body. Scientists study starfish to better understand wound healing and regeneration in other species, and even, one day, in ourselves. In the stillness of the reef, the starfish teaches a quiet lesson: that healing is possible, and that life can renew itself, one soft piece at a time. Drifting on from that reef into stranger waters still, we come upon a creature so unlikely it almost seems dreamed. Because platypuses lay eggs, but feed their young with milk. Among Earth's strangest creatures, the platypus stands proudly, quietly unique. It has the bill of a duck, the tail of a beaver, and the webbed feet of an otter. It lays eggs like a reptile, yet feeds its young with milk like a mammal. This curious being is one of only 5 monotremes on the entire planet. Mammals that lay eggs instead of giving live birth. Platypuses have no nipples. Instead, milk seeps gently through pores in their skin, and the little ones lap it from the mother's soft fur. Males carry venomous spurs on their hind legs. They hunt underwater with their eyes closed, using electroreception in their bills to sense the faint electrical signals of their prey. Everything about the platypus feels like a contradiction, or a quiet joke by nature itself, and yet it is entirely real. A living relic from an ancient lineage, still paddling gently through the streams of Australia, soft, secretive, and wonderfully odd. From still water we lift now into the quiet night sky, where another master of hidden senses moves, because bats use echoes to see in the dark. When night falls and the world grows quiet, bats take to the skies, finding their way not with sight, but with sound. Through echolocation, bats send out high-frequency calls that bounce off the objects around them. By listening to the returning echoes, they can sense the size, the shape, the distance, and even the texture of whatever surrounds them. Some can catch a single mosquito in midair using only this delicate acoustic map. Their calls are so precise that they can weave through dense forests, thread between branches, and slip through gaps no wider than their own wingspan. Not every bat uses echolocation, but those that do are among nature's most efficient flyers and hunters. They do not see darkness the way we do. They hear space itself, and in that invisible world of echoes and soft flutters, the night becomes alive with form, with rhythm, and with quiet motion. From that living night we drift now into a sunlit swamp, where a gentle predator waits with strange patience, because Venus flytraps count before they snap. In the damp, sun-warmed marshes of the Carolinas, a quiet hunter holds still. The Venus flytrap does not move often, but when it does, it moves with purpose. Its leaves are shaped like open jaws, lined with delicate trigger hairs. When an insect touches only one hair, nothing happens. Touch two hairs, or the same hair twice within about 20 seconds, and snap, the trap closes in a fraction of a second. Why the small delay? Because counting helps the plant avoid false alarms. A falling raindrop, a bit of drifting debris. Only the movements of a real, living, active prey will spring the trap. Once closed, the fly trap seals itself tight and slowly digests the insect over several days. Then it opens again, ready for the next quiet visitor. It is not thinking, and yet it is sensing, timing, responding. A plant that measures motion and acts. From that sunlit swamp, our slow drift carries us at last to a colder, quieter shore, because penguins propose with pebbles. On the rocky edges of Antarctica, love takes a quiet and unusual form. When the time comes to mate, many species of penguins, especially Adelie and Gentoo, begin a delicate courtship with the simplest of gifts, a pebble. The male searches carefully for a smooth, round stone and presents it to the female with a small bow, an offering gesture, tender and precise. If she accepts it, she places it in her nest, and together the two begin to build a home, stone by stone. These nests protect their eggs from melting snow and lift them safely above the cold ground. The best pebbles are in high demand, and sometimes penguins will quietly borrow stones from a neighbor's nest. Yet often the offering is entirely sincere, a gift, a gesture, a soft beginning. In the frozen quiet of the South, love speaks not in song or scent, but in the gentle clink of stone against stone. Some birds can sleep while flying, high above the waves, where there is no place to rest. Certain birds have mastered a remarkable skill, sleeping on the wing. Species such as the frigate bird and the alpine swift can stay aloft for days or even weeks, gliding across vast distances without ever landing. To survive such long journeys, they sleep with only half their brain at a time, a phenomenon known as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One side of the brain rests, while the other stays alert enough to guide flight and to sense danger. Their eyes even take turns staying open. It is not deep sleep, but it is enough. While soaring over the sea, they drift in and out of awareness, cradled by the wind. Nature has found a way for rest and motion to coexist, a gentle balance of vigilance and surrender. And in the quiet sky, some dreams are carried on wings. The human brain runs on tiny electrical sparks. Beneath your thoughts, beneath your dreams, your brain glows with a quiet fire. Every idea, every memory, every emotion begins as an electrical signal, a spark leaping between neurons in the darkness. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion of these cells, and each one forms thousands of connections, weaving an intricate web of communication. These tiny impulses travel down axons, leap across synapses, and cascade into patterns that become feelings, words, and decisions. It is not electricity like the current in a wire. It is biological, flowing through ion channels, fueled by chemical gradients. The result is a storm of light and thought, always changing, always alive. Even in the deepest sleep, your brain hums with low rhythms, waves of electricity pulsing softly beneath your skull. You are not powered by wires or gears, but by sparks, tiny flickers that give rise to awareness itself. Cuttlefish can disappear in plain sight. Cuttlefish are masters of vanishing. These soft-bodied cephalopods can change the color, texture, and pattern of their skin in the blink of an eye, blending perfectly with sand, rocks, or coral. They achieve this using specialized cells called chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, which expand or contract to create shifting colors and delicate optical effects. Even more remarkably, cuttlefish are colorblind. They cannot see color the way we do, and yet they match their surroundings with uncanny accuracy. Some scientists believe they rely on brightness, contrast, and polarization to guide their camouflage. Cuttlefish can mimic not only color, but also texture, raising bumps or flattening their skin to match the surface beneath them. It is not only for hiding, it is for communication, for hunting, and for play. One creature, infinite disguises, a living canvas that paints itself anew with every breath. The moon controls the breeding of coral. On certain nights of the year, under the light of a full moon, coral reefs begin to glow, not with light, but with life. All at once, corals across entire reefs release their eggs and sperm into the ocean in a synchronized spawning event. This happens with breathtaking precision, often just once a year, and always timed to the lunar cycle. The moon's gravity, its light, and its steady rhythm cue the corals to act together, increasing the chances of fertilization in the vastness of the sea. For a brief window, the water is filled with drifting life, a snowstorm of new beginnings. Coral spawning is one of the most spectacular reproductive events in all of nature. Though these animals never move from where they are anchored, they still dance to the rhythm of distant celestial bodies. In the quiet reef, the moon calls, and life answers. Frogs use their eyes to swallow. Frogs may not chew, but they do something even stranger to get their food down. They blink. When a frog captures prey with its sticky tongue and pulls it into its mouth, it does not rely on throat muscles alone to swallow. It draws its eyes downward, literally sinking them into its skull. This motion presses against the roof of the mouth, helping to push the food toward the throat. You can sometimes see it happen, a slow blink, a gentle squeeze, and down goes the meal. It is a perfect example of how evolution repurposes what is already available. No extra tools, just a clever solution using what is already there. In frogs, even sight becomes part of digestion. A blink that is more than a blink. A strange, silent push from behind the eyes. Plants can send warnings through the air. When a plant is attacked, by a hungry caterpillar, for example, it does not suffer in silence. It sends a warning. Some plants release volatile chemicals into the air, signaling to nearby plants that danger is near. These neighbors may then boost their own defenses, producing bitter compounds, toxins, or even toughening their leaves. It is a kind of chemical conversation, subtle and invisible to us, but powerful in the world of plants. The messages can even be specific. A tomato plant may send different signals depending on whether it is being chewed by an insect or infected by a fungus. Some scientists believe this airborne messaging evolved to give related plants, like a plant's own offspring, a better chance of survival. So the next time you walk through a garden or a forest, remember that it is not silent at all. It is humming with quiet information, leaf to leaf, root to root. Some trees can clone themselves for millennia. In a grove somewhere in the high mountains of Utah or Scandinavia, a tree grows and grows and grows, but not in the way we usually imagine. Some tree species, such as quaking aspens, can reproduce by cloning themselves. A single tree sends out roots underground, and those roots sprout new stems at the surface. Each new trunk may appear to be a separate tree, but genetically it is part of the same organism. One such clonal colony, named Pando, is estimated to be over 80,000 years old. That means it began growing when woolly mammoths still walked the earth. Even if individual trunks die, the root system lives on, pushing up new growth year after year, century after century. It is a forest that is also one being, ancient, quiet, and spread across countless generations. In this hidden persistence, time takes root and life quietly endures. Earthworms, in their own soft way, are the natural engineers of the soil. Beneath your feet, in the dark and damp earth, they are always at work. They may seem simple, blind, silent, slow, and yet they play a crucial role in shaping the world around us. As they tunnel through the ground, earthworms aerate the soil, opening tiny passages where roots can grow and where water and air can circulate freely. They feed on decaying organic matter, digest it, and return it to the earth as nutrient-rich castings. This slow, patient process helps build healthy soil, the very foundation of forests, farms, and food chains. Their gentle movement also mixes the layers of the ground, redistributing minerals and organic material through the dark below. Charles Darwin himself once said that it may be doubted whether there are many other animals which have played so important a part in the history of the world. Quiet, tireless, unseen, earthworms are architects of life itself. In every garden, every meadow, every forest, they shape the ground beneath our feet. Now drift on with us into the tall grasses of the savanna, where something very different is happening, where the tallest creatures on earth barely sleep at all. Giraffes sleep less than 2 hours a day. Towering above the golden savanna, giraffes seem almost too tall to rest, and in a way they are. These gentle giants sleep for as little as 30 minutes to 2 hours per day, usually in short, scattered bursts. Their sleep is often taken standing up, though they occasionally lie down for brief, deep phases, curling their long necks back like a soft bow. Why so little sleep? Because being tall and slow makes them vulnerable to predators, so they have evolved to remain alert even during rest. One member of a group often keeps a quiet watch while the others drift. Despite their minimal sleep, giraffes remain active, curious, and socially complex animals. How they thrive on so little rest is still a wonder to science, but their biology seems finely tuned for survival in wide, open landscapes. Under the stars, while lions and hyenas roam, the giraffe dreams, but only for a moment. And yet, as we drift a little further, the strangest turn of all is still ahead. For even something as stubborn as plastic may not be as permanent as we once believed. Microbes can eat plastic. Plastic, once thought to last forever, may not be as eternal as we once imagined. In recent years, scientists have discovered microbes that can break down certain types of plastic. Some bacteria and fungi produce enzymes capable of digesting polyethylene terephthalate, known as PET, a common material in bottles and packaging. They do not do it quickly, but they do it efficiently, turning synthetic waste into simpler compounds that they can absorb. These microbes have been found in landfills, in soil, and even in the guts of insects. The discovery offers a soft, hopeful glimmer for more sustainable ways to handle plastic pollution. Engineers are now studying how to enhance or replicate these enzymes for large-scale recycling. It is not a solution to all of our waste problems, but it is a beginning. Even in the mess we have made, life life is adapting, finding new niches, new food sources, and new ways to carry on. Drift now with us into the far north, where the wind is cold and the snow is endless, and where a small hunter changes with the season itself. Arctic foxes change color with the seasons. In the cold northern reaches of the world, the Arctic fox moves silently across snow and stone. Its fur changes with the seasons, a natural cloak that shifts between invisibility and survival. In winter, the fox's coat turns pure white, blending perfectly with ice and snow. In summer, it molts to a brown or grayish coat, camouflaging with rocks and tundra grasses. This adaptation helps it avoid predators and quietly sneak up on prey, from birds to lemmings. The Arctic fox's fur is also incredibly thick, insulating it against some of the harshest temperatures on Earth, sometimes as low as -50 degrees Celsius. It even grows fur on the soles of its feet, soft against the frozen ground. Season by season, it becomes the land it walks upon, a shapeshifter in fur, tuned to the turning of the world. But even the snowy tundra is not the strangest place on our planet. Deeper still, far below the sunlit surface, waits a world that feels almost impossible. The deep sea is teeming with alien life. Beneath the sunlit surface, far past the reach of light, lies a world that feels more like science fiction than Earth. The deep sea, cold, dark, and pressurized, is home to creatures unlike anything found on land. There are fish with tiny lanterns dangling from their heads, translucent predators, glowing jellyfish, and spindly crabs that walk like slow, patient machines. Some survive on the chemicals released from hydrothermal vents. Others drift through an endless twilight, bioluminescent and slow. These creatures face crushing pressure and frigid temperatures, and yet they thrive. Because there is no light, many have evolved strange features, enormous mouths, bizarre shapes, or even near invisibility. We have explored only a small fraction of the deep ocean, and yet what we have already seen is stunning. An alien planet beneath our own, quiet, vast, and filled with life that waits in the dark. And now, as we rise back to the surface, something else is waiting. Something clever, something watchful, something with feathers. Some birds use tools to hunt. We often associate tool use with primates or with humans, but in the wild, some birds are just as clever. Crows, ravens, and especially New Caledonian crows have been observed shaping sticks, leaves, and even hooks to extract insects from tight crevices. But they are not alone. Green herons drop small objects onto the surface of the water to lure fish within striking distance. Woodpecker finches in the Galapagos use twigs like tiny tweezers. And Egyptian vultures use rocks to crack open ostrich eggs. These birds do not just find tools. They choose them carefully, modify them, and use them in ways tailored to specific challenges. In some cases, young birds learn by watching their elders, passing down knowledge quietly across generations. It is problem solving. It is invention, and it is a gentle reminder that intelligence is not bound to hands. It can soar on wings too. Now let us drift once more, this time out into the shimmering heat of the desert, where an old traveler has learned the deep art of patience. Camels can survive for weeks without water. In the harsh deserts of Africa and the Middle East, camels move steadily across sand and sun, unhurried, unshaken, and rarely thirsty. They can survive for weeks without drinking, and when water becomes available, they can consume more than 113 liters in a matter of minutes. But contrary to popular belief, camels do not store water in their humps. They store fat. This fat provides both energy and, when broken down, some water as a natural byproduct. Camels also conserve moisture through remarkably efficient kidneys, dry feces, and a body temperature that fluctuates through the day to reduce sweating. Even their blood cells are uniquely shaped to keep flowing freely, even during deep dehydration. Every part of the camel is shaped for endurance. Long lashes to hold back the sand, thick lips built to graze on thorny plants, wide cushioned feet to move across shifting dunes. They are not merely survivors, they are specialists in scarcity, refined by centuries of dry wind and open horizon. And now, let your thoughts drift softly from the desert to the quiet hush of a farmyard, because baby chicks speak to their mothers long before they hatch. Well before a chick breaks free from its shell, it begins to chirp, sending small, rhythmic sounds outward from inside the egg. These calls are more than idle noise. They are part of an early, tender conversation. Mother hens answer these tiny chirps, adjusting their behavior, sometimes gently turning the eggs, sometimes softly clucking in return. Even unhatched siblings can respond to one another, helping to coordinate the moment of their arrival. This gentle exchange helps prepare the chick for life outside the shell, building bonds and quietly synchronizing their development. Some researchers believe that this prenatal communication improves survival, guiding early breathing rhythms, and even shaping the beginnings of social behavior. The egg, it turns out, is not silent at all. It is alive with tiny voices whispering their arrival, a heartbeat, a breath, and a call, all before the first faint crack of the shell. And as you settle deeper into stillness, consider this quiet marvel. Some insects can survive being frozen solid. Winter is brutal for tiny creatures, but a few insects have evolved to meet the cold head-on. Certain species, such as the Arctic woolly bear moth or the goldenrod gallfly, can endure being completely frozen through. They produce what scientists call cryoprotectants, special molecules like glycerol that prevent ice crystals from forming inside their delicate cells. These compounds act like a natural antifreeze, preserving fragile tissues even when the insect's body drops well below the freezing point. In this frozen state, their metabolism slows to a near halt. They do not move, they do not eat, they do not grow. And yet, quietly, they remain alive. When spring returns and the temperatures begin to rise, they thaw out and carry on as if nothing had ever happened. This is not simple dormancy. It is something closer to suspended animation, one of the most astonishing survival strategies nature has ever devised. In the stillness of frost, life waits, quietly ticking forward, one molecule at a time. And still ahead, an even stranger secret awaits, hidden beneath a coat of white. Polar bears have black skin beneath their fur. Polar bears may look purely white, symbols of snow, ice, and long polar cold. But beneath their thick fur lies a secret. Their skin is black. That dark surface helps absorb and hold on to heat from the sun, a valuable advantage in the Arctic's bitter climate. Their fur, though it appears white to our eyes, is actually translucent. Each hair scatters the light, giving the impression of whiteness, while still allowing sunlight to reach the skin below. This layered design offers both camouflage and warmth. Polar bears are excellent swimmers and skilled hunters, relying on the drifting sea ice to reach seals and other prey. Their paws are large and wide for stability on snow, dotted with small bumps for grip. And underneath it all, their skin draws in every drop of warmth the environment has to give. Not just beautiful, but brilliantly engineered for survival in a frozen world. Now let the mind drift out to sea, because jellyfish can clone themselves. They float like ghosts, slow, silent, and almost ethereal. But jellyfish are far more than simple drifters. Some species have the ability to clone themselves, especially in their early life stages. If a young jellyfish, called a polyp, is injured or broken apart, it can regenerate into several separate individuals. Even adult jellyfish can sometimes bud off new jellyfish from fragments of their own bodies. This is not quite reproduction in the traditional sense. It is replication, a kind of biological reset built quietly into their structure. In the case of the immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, this ability reaches even further, allowing it to revert to its youthful state and begin its life cycle all over again. In the shifting tides, jellyfish drift between life, damage, and renewal, soft, ancient, and infinitely patient. And in their quiet rhythm, life continues on through multiplication, through reinvention, through the gentle pulse of the sea. And here is a soft wonder to carry with you into sleep. The human body glows, ever so faintly. You shine more than you know. Like many living organisms, the human body emits a faint glow, a form of bioluminescence that is entirely invisible to the naked eye. This light is not like the glow of fireflies or the drifting lanterns of deep-sea creatures. It is caused by tiny biochemical reactions that occur when free radicals interact with the lipids and proteins in our cells. The result is the release of photons, small pulses of light. Using ultra-sensitive cameras, scientists have captured this glow, revealing that it fluctuates through the course of a day, peaking in the late afternoon. Our faces tend to emit the most light, most likely because of the higher metabolic activity there. The glow is incredibly dim, about 1,000 times weaker than anything our eyes can detect. But it is there, shimmering softly in the dark. Your body, even in sleep, is not entirely still. It hums, it breathes, and yes, it quietly glows. And there's one more surprise waiting at the water's edge. Some fish can walk on land. The line between sea and shore is blurrier than it seems. Several species of fish have evolved the ability to leave the water and move across the land itself. The mud skipper, for example, uses its strong pectoral fins to walk over muddy flats and even climb into low branches of trees. It breathes through its skin and the lining of its mouth, keeping itself moist so that it can continue absorbing oxygen. The climbing perch, native to Southeast Asia, can survive out of water for hours, even for days, by breathing air directly and crawling short distances across the ground. Some eels have even been known to slither across wet grass at night in search of new streams. These amphibious feats are not just curiosities. They represent evolutionary bridges, quiet hints of that ancient transition that once brought vertebrates from sea to land. On the edge of water and earth, life stretches its boundaries, one fin, one breath, one step at a time. And finally, an image of unity born from the tiniest of creatures. Fire ants build floating rafts out of their own bodies. When floods sweep through their habitats, fire ants do not panic. Instead, they assemble, clinging to one another with mandibles and legs. Thousands of ants join to form living rafts that float upon the water. Each ant grips the next, weaving a tightly bound, waterproof structure that can carry the entire colony, queen, larvae, and precious eggs to safety. The raft is flexible, yet buoyant. Tiny pockets of air trapped between their bodies help them stay afloat. And should the raft be disturbed, it shifts and reforms, adapting to the movement of the water. No leader directs this construction. It emerges from simple rules followed by each ant, local decisions giving rise to collective resilience. These living rafts can last for weeks. They are not merely survival tactics. They are living machines. In the chaos of floodwaters, a fragile species becomes a single floating organism. Calm, cohesive, and unstoppable. Drift with me a little longer, because the next quiet wonder is waiting just beneath the surface of the sea. A drop of seawater contains thousands of creatures. Dip your fingers into the ocean, and you are touching a vast, invisible world. In just a single drop of seawater, there can be thousands, even millions of microscopic organisms. Tiny plankton, algae, bacteria, viruses, larvae, and more drift together in a rich, swirling soup. Many are translucent, jewel-like, or shaped like alien sculptures. Some glow in the dark. Others form the base of the marine food web, fueling ecosystems from coral reefs to whales. These microscopic creatures play essential roles in the planet's oxygen production, carbon cycling, and even climate regulation. We rarely see them, but they are always there, moving with the tides, multiplying in the sunlight, or hiding in the depths. A drop of water, a world. The ocean, it turns out, is made of galaxies. Life can thrive in boiling acid pools, in the hostile landscapes of volcanic springs, where temperatures soar and acid sizzles, life still exists. These places, such as the hot pools of Yellowstone or Ethiopia's Danakil Depression, are home to extremophiles, microbes that thrive in conditions deadly to most organisms. Some endure heat above boiling, others survive in acidity similar to battery acid. They rely on chemosynthesis rather than photosynthesis, drawing energy from sulfur, iron, or other minerals. Their cells are specially adapted to prevent damage from heat and acid, with proteins and membranes uniquely suited to the task. These microbes may resemble the earliest life on Earth, and perhaps the kind of life we might one day find on other planets. In the most extreme places, life doesn't just survive, it invents. It finds a foothold in fire, and it whispers to us, wherever conditions allow, life will try. Plants can do math to survive the night. As darkness falls and photosynthesis stops, plants must carefully manage their energy reserves, and they do it using arithmetic. During the day, they produce sugars from sunlight, which they store as starch. At night, they break that starch down to keep themselves alive. But here is the trick. They divide the amount of stored energy by the number of hours left until dawn, adjusting their consumption rate accordingly. Too fast, and they run out early. Too slow, and energy goes unused. This ability to perform precise biological division, not with numbers, but with molecular signals, helps plants survive on minimal resources. It is not conscious, but it is astonishingly accurate. Inside every leaf, a quiet calculation unfolds, and each night, without eyes or awareness, a plant makes a plan. Because even in sleep, life thinks. Owls fly without making a sound. When an owl glides through the night, the air remains still. Its flight is nearly silent, a perfected stealth evolved over millions of years. The secret lies in its wings. Owls have a unique feather structure, soft-edged primaries that break up turbulence, and a velvety coating that muffles sound. Even the spacing of their feathers is tuned to reduce noise. This silence allows them to hunt with extreme precision, listening for the faintest rustle of prey in leaves or snow. No whoosh, no flutter, just stillness. Other birds make noise when they fly, but the owl's silence is its greatest weapon. It moves through darkness like a shadow with wings, a ghost in feathers, heard only when it chooses to speak. If that hush stirs something in you, stay close, because the next creature we meet has learned an even stranger secret about coming back whole. Some worms can regrow their entire body. Cut some animals in half and they perish. But a few species of flatworms, such as planarians, can regrow themselves entirely from even tiny fragments. If you slice one into multiple pieces, each can become a complete, fully functional worm. This incredible regenerative ability comes from a special population of stem cells called neoblasts. These cells can transform into any other type of cell, rebuilding muscles, nerves, organs, and even the brain. Scientists study these creatures to understand how regeneration works and whether it could one day help us heal damage in our own bodies. In the stillness of freshwater pools, the flatworm drifts and divides. And each time it is broken, it returns whole again. Life refusing to be undone. Pigeons can recognize human faces. They may seem ordinary, fluttering through cities, pecking at crumbs, but pigeons are remarkably perceptive. Studies have shown that they can recognize individual human faces, remembering who has fed them and who hasn't. Even when people change clothes, pigeons can still identify them based on facial features alone. This ability is part of their highly developed visual memory, which also allows them to navigate vast distances and even distinguish between artistic styles or words in laboratory settings. Once trained, some pigeons can sort objects by category or learn sequences, behaviors once thought limited to primates. In the bustle of urban life, they blend into the background, but these birds are watching, remembering, learning. The city is their sky, and you, perhaps, are already known to them. Your body contains ancient viral DNA. Within your cells lies a hidden history, not just of your ancestors, but of ancient infections. Around 8% of the human genome comes from retroviruses that infected our distant ancestors. These viruses inserted their genetic material into reproductive cells, and their DNA became a permanent part of our own. Over millions of years, some of these viral sequences have mutated and gone silent. Others are being repurposed by evolution to serve useful functions, encoding roles in brain development and placenta formation. You are, in a very real sense, part virus. Not infected, but shaped. Echoes of ancient battles now folded into the instructions that make you who you are. The human body is not a single story. It is a library of survival, stitched together from creatures long forgotten. The largest living thing on Earth is a hidden fungus. It doesn't tower, it doesn't move, it doesn't roar. And yet the largest living organism on our planet is a fungus, and it lives quietly beneath a forest in Oregon. This single armillaria fungus spreads underground across more than 2,000 acres, weaving a vast network of mycelium, the thread-like roots of fungal life. It is estimated to be thousands of years old. Above ground, it occasionally produces mushrooms, but the real organism lives in the dark, feeding on tree roots, connecting the forest in a silent web. It isn't the tallest, or the fastest, or the brightest, yet in size, in age, and in reach, it is unmatched. The hidden world beneath your feet may be more alive than everything that grows above. Bees can learn simply by watching one another. Bees aren't just busy, they are brilliant. In one experiment, researchers trained bees to roll tiny balls into a goal to receive a sugar reward. Other bees watching nearby learned the task within moments, just by observation. They even improved on the technique, discovering more efficient ways to complete it. This kind of social learning, watching and imitating, is rare outside of primates and birds. Bees, with their tiny brains, seem to possess a flexible intelligence that goes far beyond instinct. Inside the hive, knowledge spreads like nectar, not through words or teaching, but through quiet example followed by action. The hum of wings carries more than pollen. It carries ideas. Some fish sleep with half of their brains still awake. Sleep is universal, but the way it happens can vary dramatically. Some fish, like parrotfish and certain species of sharks, show evidence of unihemispheric sleep. Only one half of their brain rests at a time. The other half remains alert, monitoring the surroundings and guiding slow, steady movement. This adaptation allows them to remain aware of predators, currents, and obstacles even as they rest. In dolphins and whales, a similar sleep pattern lets them breathe consciously and stay afloat. Underwater, sleep is never absolute. It is partial, watchful, a delicate balance between restoration and survival. Even in dreams, the ocean stays awake. Chameleons change color for mood, not just for camouflage. Chameleons are famous for their dazzling shifts of color, but the changes aren't only about blending in. Their hues are shaped by mood, by temperature, and by social signals. When calm, they may appear green or brown. But during confrontation, excitement, or courtship displays, they can shift into brilliant yellows, blues, or reds. They achieve this not through pigments, but by manipulating tiny crystals in their skin that reflect light differently as they rearrange. It is structural color, physics rather than paint. Chameleons communicate through their shifting hues, sending warnings, invitations, or signals of submission. The forest becomes a stage, and their skin a message. Not just disguise, but expression. The Earth's magnetic field quietly shapes animal migration. All around us, invisible lines of force stretch from pole to pole, and many animals can feel them. Sea turtles use magnetic signatures to return to the very beaches where they were born. Birds like robins and warblers navigate thousands of miles with an inner compass. Salmon find their way from the open ocean back to the exact stream where they first hatched. Even some insects and bacteria use the field to orient themselves. The mechanism is still partly mysterious. It may involve tiny crystals of magnetite in the body or light-sensitive proteins in the eyes. But the result is clear. The Earth whispers directions, and life listens. Life keeps finding new ways to begin again. Despite disasters, extinctions, and cosmic odds, life has never stopped. It emerged from boiling vents in the ocean, spread across continents, took flight, swam deep, burrowed under, and soared into the sky. It adapted to cold, to heat, to acid, to vacuum, to time itself. Every time it seemed cornered, it found a new shape, a new strategy. It grew feathers, fur, armor, and thought. It built coral reefs and root systems, nests and cities. Even now, in the deepest caves, in the saltiest lakes, in the hottest springs, life is beginning again and again and again. Not perfect, not always pretty, but endlessly determined. In you, in me, in every leaf and breath and cell. The experiment continues, and the story is still being written. And now, with this final fact softly settled into place, let the world grow quiet around you. We have wandered through oceans and forests, deserts and tundras, mountain peaks and ancient roots. We have listened to the silent conversations of plants, watched the glow of jellyfish, followed the songs of whales. And through it all, a single truth echoes gently beneath the surface. Life is extraordinary, not because it is perfect, but because it persists, it adapts, it endures, and it continues to surprise us. Somewhere right now, a coral is releasing its eggs into the dark. A bird is flying in its sleep. A flower is counting the footsteps of a bee. You are part of this story too, not separate from nature, but made of it. Cells and sparks, memories and motion, a living thread in the long, unfolding pattern of Earth. So wherever you are, allow your mind to rest. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts grow soft at the edges. The journey does not end. It simply pauses here until curiosity calls again. Sleep well, and thank you for dreaming with us. With you was Ray Nova. See you in the next episode of Cosmic Lullaby. If this journey brought you peace, consider liking and subscribing, one sleepy soul at a time.